Good morning, Austin. Welcome to the Atheist Experience. My name is Ray Blevins. My co-host Jeff D. And this week's guest, Mark Loewe. Loewe. I don't know. I got Lowry stuck in my mind. We are coming at you live December 5th. I'm just making sure, and somebody agree with me here, we are December 5th.
Yes.
Thank you for my... we always start out with announcements of Atheist Community of Austin. We are having our monthly lecture series, which goes on at Furs and North Cross Mall, and today's guest speaker will be Mark Loewe himself. He is a professor of physics and also a co-author. Oh, okay, they're doing stuff off to the side. But what I do want to point out, he's also a co-author of a science textbook here, physics textbook on quantum mechanics with Arno Bohm. And there might be some viewers that are familiar with that name. We're switching with cameras here and trying to, but yes, so we're always proud to have such intelligent guests on our show. So, we'll be getting to you here shortly. Here, you had some great stuff. I've seen that, and I'm looking forward to it. And like I say, he is going to be live at Furs and North Cross Mall. So you're all invited to come on out and meet him in person, and maybe have a few little bit question and answer at the end of the lecture there. So, but we always like to start off with news with Jeff D. And you brought in quite a few yourself.
Yeah, I got a few things here. Let's start with this one. Science uncovers Apes' hidden soul. Those of you who believe in souls, don't get too excited. It's not what you think. Scientists have found the strongest evidence yet that some animals could have souls. They have located the cells responsible for self-consciousness in the human brain and found similar clusters of cells in the great apes. Thank you. The cells named self-awareness neurons appear to integrate the work of various parts of the brain and create our sense of individuality. The suggestion that consciousness is a physical process is certain to provoke religious controversy as well as debate over the ethical treatment of great apes. Some might argue that if they have a sense of self-awareness, then they should also get some human rights. So that's an interesting story. It reminds me of the recent letter from the Pope where he made a big deal about, yes, we accept that evolution happened. In that same letter, he also said, but anything that suggests that human consciousness arises from physical processes can't possibly be true. And so, we're preemptively saying that's all false. Well, good thing they started circling their wagons early because the evidence is mounting up. Here's a weird story. Nude swordsman attacks churchgoers in England. A naked sword-wielding man burst into a South London church during Mass last Sunday, slashing and stabbing members of the congregation. 10 people were injured, 3 seriously. 6 of the injured suffered stab wounds, including a man who lost part of his hand. The others were hurt in the stampede to get out of St. Andrew's Roman Catholic Church in Thornton Heath, a London suburb. And it's, much like our church shooting that we had near Dallas. It's lunatic.
I forgot an announcement. I'm sorry.
Go ahead with your announcement.
The reason we have the area code up there, we're actually being rebroadcast over the World Wide Web for the first time this morning. So I'd love to hear from any of our long-distance viewers out there. I got friends and relatives in Indiana that I invited to watch the show. We're going to try this on hopefully we'll do this more in the future. This is the first time on a trial basis, but that's the reason we have the area code listed in there on a number. We are going out to live December 5th from Austin, Texas, and let's say hi to the World Wide Web. Okay.
And for those people that don't know how to pick up the show on the World Wide Web, what do? They go to...
it looks like www.spring.net, and there's supposed to be a link on the page, and I was there. SpringNet is on.
Okay.
And we got it on, and we're watching it right now out there. Oh, fantastic.
Awesome.
they're saying that we are making it out on the internet.
So go to spring.net and there's some links and stuff. Just look for our show.
So we'd love to hear from any long distance people outside of Austin.
And of course, if you're hearing us now, you don't need to look us up on the internet, but tell your friends that are long distance, because they can do it. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jeff.
So back to the story. Anyway, so a lunatic burst into a church in England and naked with a sword and hurt a bunch of people, but there were no fatalities. Absolutely zero fatalities. Imagine what would have happened had handguns been legal in England.
Forrest.
And we've got Forrest on too. Let's take it.
Yes. Excuse us, folks. This is a gentleman here who has his own access show in Hawaii and has agreed to call and be interviewed on our show. So let's go with him here. Forrest?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. How you doing?
Very good. I am thrilled to get to watch this program. I think that you're doing such a fabulous job. The Atheist.
Yes.
Joe, Arlo, Don Rhodes. I think I've seen him somewhere before. Brother Paul.
Yes.
And of course Jeff D. And to see the pictures of your crew, I think it's very, very exciting.
Did you just hear our announcement? We're going out on the internet too now.
I hate you. No. That's absolutely fabulous. I'd like to get to figure out how to do that too, so I'm sure we'll have a lot of time to talk. Okay. And I also feel so frustrated that I can't come at 11 o'clock today to the Hot Jumbo Bagel Bakery and meet you all at 307 West 5th Street.
Well, I thank you, Forrest, there. And, is your show also a live call-in talk show?
Yes, ours is a live call-in talk show, and it is the most popular show in the history of the Access Station. Our show broadcasts to over 90% of the homes now in the state of Hawaii, and
Fantastic.
We're just hoping there's just one island that doesn't receive the show, and that is the big island of Hawaii, which has about 100,000 people there.
Wow.
Now, I'd like to make a statement about to your viewers out there how you are very much heroes. And there's a quote from Thomas Jefferson that says, "Cast your eye upon an office and your heart becomes corrupt." And truly, you are there to give a benefit to the community of Austin and now anyone who can hear you over the internet. And I would suggest to people that Henry Wadsworth Longfellow has a wonderful quote, "Be not like dumb, driven cattle, but a hero in the strife." And I really feel that people need to stop you on the street and tell you thank you.
Well, I'm truly flattered. You definitely made my morning. I don't know about Jeff. Jeff's got a big smile on his
appreciate that.
face.
In fact, we do actually get stopped on the street with surprising regularity. So we have no idea how many people are actually watching.
Keep it up. All of the viewers, keep it up. Even the Christians should stop you. I'm stopped by Christians myself who say, "I love your show. I love your show. I know what you're saying is true, and it's very hard for me to watch it. I can only watch 10 minutes at a time, but I love your show."
We had a guy call in who complained about our show being on Sunday morning because he had to stay home from church in order to watch it.
Yeah.
And that really makes us feel good.
I think that's a great idea. We show ours on Wednesday nights.
Right.
And Wednesday nights tend to be a church night as well.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And Forrest, I got that information from you on email, and I'm passing it to Ray, so we'll have Ray call your show on Wednesday.
Super. I hope you keep me on for a little bit and you don't just think that I can make this long-distance phone call and be gone in a second. There's a couple of points I wanted to get to.
Sure, go right ahead.
One is that Christians need to talk to their ministers and put them on the spot and hold them accountable. These are people who have fallen into the trap of liking their position. In other words, they are comfortable where they are, and even though they seem pleasant and nice and wonderful, their position is to teach people honesty and truth. That's why they were there in the first place. And so now that these points are coming to light on the internet, and now more and more Christians, like ex-Christians like myself, have come to realize these things, it's important to let ministers know that it is not okay to continue to fester this mythology as fact in our children's mind in this day of information and science. And I noticed that you said that, Paul, Jeff, on the last program that I watched of yours, and I can't commend you enough. And you have Methodist ministers, and you have the guts to talk to your own mom about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well.
Forrest, I have a question for you. This is Mark Loewe.
Mark's our guest today.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you heard all the introductions and stuff.
No, Mark is who now?
He's a member of our group. He's also a professor in physics.
Wow, that's great.
And an author of a textbook used in quantum mechanics.
Yeah, the first Sunday of each month, our group hosts a lecture series.
Oh, right.
And Mark is our speaker today.
Okay.
So go right ahead, Mark.
Yeah, Forrest, I wondered if you suggested to people there in Hawaii whether they should stand up in the congregation, raise their hands to ask questions.
No, but we do call people sheeple out here.
Sheeple.
And the purpose for that is so that when they are in the congregation, just following along without questioning, that they remember that word.
Yeah.
They remember, am I a sheeple too, just listening behind an unquestionable pulpit. But now that you're with quantum physics, I wanted to ask you, what is your response on two humans that are supposed to be still alive today that never died, Enoch and Elijah?
I haven't heard of any evidence for that kind of thing.
Now, I know they didn't go up there through spacesuits, but today, according to the Bible, they are supposed to be, one is over 3,000 years old, and one is over 5,000 years old. And traveling at the speed of light, I don't think they'd make it very far out of the Milky Way galaxy today.
Interesting point. Yes, I hadn't looked at it that way.
Never mind Jesus, but you might want to talk about that in your physics.
I love that term, sheeple. I will get that started here in Austin. I promise you.
Now, Jeff, you also saw the words that I had about fundamental central and the religious wrong.
Yeah, in fact, I printed out both of your emails.
Right.
And I'm going to be circulating them amongst the group, especially the TV crew.
Oh, perfect.
To get that advice to the ears that need to hear it.
Now, I don't want to take too much of your time because I know you have a lot of things, but there is another point I wanted to get to.
Sure.
And it was about programming. We constantly tell people that they are part of a cult, which I was a part of a cult, and that they are brainwashed, and they can look those up in the dictionary, the definitions, to find out that this is exactly what it is. Part of the programming in ancient times was to teach people that unless they gave an offering to someone, that this unknown force, whatever creates lightning or thunder or hail, which destroys their crops or hurricanes, whatever, that they would be injured by this ultimate force. And the Bible truly is a historical document which verifies that these people were conditioned in this way. Just the fact that it mentions offerings over 1,200 times in the Bible.
Right.
To create nationalism, we compare Nazis and Christians all the time because we want people to be aware that most people were Nazis. Most Nazis were Christians. And without the help of Christians, Hitler never would have been able to get to power, and this is well documented as well. The word enemy in the Bible is mentioned over 350 times. This is to condition people to believe that any one of their neighbors outside that does not think or believe in their God is the enemy. And imagine if we were in a small little state of California next to a big country of Mexico, and they were teaching all of their people that we were the enemy. You would feel at risk. You would feel that these people were somewhat of a threat to you. And if you were just a person sitting in a group of people, let's say in the old Hebrew tribes, and they were saying, these are your enemies, you would at first question and say, there are enemies? And wonder why they would say that. And then you would get this nationalistic spirit that you have to go out and fight against this enemy, this force. Once you design an enemy, you can do anything with it, and it doesn't matter whether it's gay people or whether it's people that are in abortion clinics. When you design an enemy, you can make them second-class citizens, and you can do anything with them. And I know Christians don't like to hear about this programming, but I know that they originally attend churches for good, and they need to begin to start facing the truth, because this religion is a very nationalistic religion. Even when the quotes from supposedly what Jesus said, love thine enemies. Why would you even put the name enemy in there in the first place?
Excellent
It doesn't
point.
make sense.
That's a good point.
Yes, I appreciate you doing that.
So there you are.
Just a reminder, and to remind Forrest there, we're on www.spring.net. That's providing, and they're rebroadcasting it on the internet.
Right.
Okay, it's www.spring,
Yes.
S-P-R-I-G,
Correct.
.net.
.net.
Now, there's another thing that I wondered. There's a gentleman that was a guest on your show, and
Sure.
he gave us a New Jersey Arlo. No, it wasn't Arlo. It was Joe Zemeckis.
Joe Zemeckis. Joe
And
Zemeckis.
That address wasn't correct, or I'm not able to pull it up.
Huh. Well,
And
we'll look into that.
okay.
Sorry about that.
I'm not sure what that was. I remember he announced his band
Yes.
and gave a web address. Is that it?
No, this was his atheist site that he started. It's called, it was www.angelfire.com / New Jersey or NJ /atheist.
Well, we'll definitely get a hold of Joe, and we'll get a link on that on our webpage.
Right.
And we'll get that updated on our webpage as quick as we can.
And may I, I know that this is never going to end, but let me just make one more comment, and then I know this is a relationship which is going to be a while. But Christians need to understand, they are teaching their children to believe in demons, in Satan, in hell, and that the end of the world is coming. Today, in this world of science and information, this is nothing short of child abuse. And I have some people that called into the show. Their son went to go see the Omega Code.
Yeah.
And he came back the next day, or the entire next day, he was curled up in his bed with his Bible, would not speak to anyone that entire day.
That's scary, yes.
And Christians must take responsibility, and they have to find out the answers, and they have to realize Jesus is not coming.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
Now you listen here. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
That was a little drop in from
I'm
Mike
gonna
and
let
Brian
you go.
there. Could you hear
I wish I could see the rest of the show. Send me a copy of this. I'm putting your tapes on the air. They will air on the islands of Oahu, Kauai, and the islands of Maui County. And,
Thank you.
I will send you tapes of our show, too. I think you'll really enjoy it. And I know I'm just so thrilled.
Well, we'll definitely try to get your tapes here on the show here in Austin. Not on our show, but get them broadcast here in Austin for you, too.
Great. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you.
You too, Forrest.
You have a great week.
Bye.
And I'll call you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Awesome.
Robert's been on hold all that time. You want to do him real quick?
Sure, what the heck.
Okay, and because Mark brought a lot of stuff in, I definitely want to get to Mark here. Robert?
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Hey, I had a small suggestion for you guys.
Sure.
After the last show, I don't know, I guess it was 1 or 2 weeks ago, I went up to the bagel shop to meet you guys.
Yeah.
And you were all congregated on the left side of the building, and there was no place for me to sit.
Oh.
I felt really left out.
You sat with us.
I'm sorry, and nobody entered.
It was a full seat on the left-hand side, so I'd love to come again, but next time maybe you could keep that in mind.
Yeah, we try to have somebody watching for newcomers, but we can't always tell when people walk in and look at us whether they want to join. And we don't hesitate to grab more tables and make more space.
Right.
When it needs to happen.
And we're very friendly and open. And to anybody, if you just come over and say hello, and we'll be more than glad. We have Keith there, does a great job as a greeter. Gives you,
I missed it.
and he himself is off camera right now, apologizing for missing you. So please to come again.
Yeah, we're sorry that happened. Come on back.
No problem, guys.
And,
have a great day.
That's a great suggestion, though. Thanks to this TV show and the wonderful people that we have in our group, like Mark here and Jeff, the group's definitely growing, and we need to be more aware of that. So I do appreciate that. So I know we have a lot of news. You want to do a couple more and then give Mark?
I only have a couple more.
Okay, great, because I do want to give.
Okay. Naked man with a sword, we did that. And of course, that is wrong. We do not support the idea of violence against anyone. We disagree with Christians and religion in general, but we don't think that that is an excuse for violence. So we're against that, but it just goes to show there are lunatics all over the place, and they'll target Christians too. They're not somehow magically immune to being the victims of random, senseless violence. Chicago worries over Baptist convention. Religious leaders are asking Southern Baptists to reconsider a plan to bring thousands of missionaries to Chicago next summer. Members of an interdenominational coalition say they fear the missionaries' presence could spark violence against Jews, Hindus, and Muslims whom the Southern Baptists have said they want to convert to Christianity. The letter sent last Saturday, to Southern Baptist Convention President Paige Patterson cites vandalism last May at a mosque in suburban Villa Park and a July shooting in which 6 Orthodox Jews were wounded outside their Northside synagogue. Anti-Catholicism alleged in choice of house chaplain. This is kind of scary. Controversy is no stranger to the politically divided House, but even by recent standards, the latest flare-up is unusual. A fight over the selection of a new chaplain to minister to lawmakers and their families. The Reverend Tim O'Brien passed over when House GOP leaders made their selection recently, charged Wednesday that anti-Catholic bias was at work. I am convinced that if I were a mainline Protestant minister and not a Catholic priest, I would be the candidate, he said in a telephone interview. Democrats say House Speaker Dennis Hastert and Majority Leader Dick Armey, the two top GOP leaders, ignored the work of a bipartisan committee that reviewed candidates and imposed the selection of Reverend Charles Wright. Wright is a Presbyterian minister who has served pastorates in Maryland, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Washington. Representative Anna Eshoo, Democratic from California, who is Catholic and served on the committee, said, "I think there are tones of bias involved in the selection. I do not say this gladly," she added. Republicans denied there was any anti-Catholic bias. Well, anyway, then it goes on to explain how this committee went over the candidates, had a vote, selected the one that the members of the House wanted, and then the Republican leaders who were apparently in charge of making the final decision just ignored that and picked this Protestant.
I brought that article in too, and what amazed me about that article was the whole idea that we're actually paying a chaplain to start with.
Of course. There shouldn't be a federally selected religious leader in our government anyway.
On any payroll whatsoever.
On any payroll whatsoever, and of any denomination.
But they say the only reason they're there is to help them through the tough times.
But don't all of these people, if they are religious,
Yes.
don't they all already have their own personal religious leaders? Why on earth is our government involved in this controversy in the first place? We shouldn't have a religious guy whose job it is to tend to the House of Representatives.
To be able to minister to among 400 some odd people of different religious backgrounds, we're going to pick one person to do that job. When they all should have their own already picked.
And presumably, if they're religious, they already do have their own
It should be a personal choice.
It's not as if they're deployed in the Army or Navy somewhere and don't have ready access to plenty of ministerial.
Yeah, we've discussed that the Army and Navy has chaplain as an official rank, and we don't feel that should be an official rank either.
Yeah, but your point is taken. I mean, when you're in some foreign country, away from your family, away from your home, not settled somewhere like in Washington D.C. for months at a time, where you could just find somebody from the church of your choice to go to. No, we have this one central guy selected by our government to be the religious figurehead for all of the House of Representatives.
I know we brought up the
Senate. They have different ones.
The Senate salary was over $100,000 a year. I think.
They're salaried.
Yeah, I think it was $120,000.
That's just wrong.
The senator is the one for the House of the Senate.
Yeah.
The Senate House, whatever. I don't remember ever seeing the salary for the one for the House of Representatives.
Okay, well that's it for the news. I got a big Rapture report too, but let's let Mark do his thing.
Oh, we have a long distance. I'm sorry, Mark. Cheryl?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And where you call?
I just wanted to comment that we already have people in government that are, have this agenda. It's kind of frightening, actually.
Yes.
There are so many, actually, I'm one of those political people that are I vote Republican, but I'm, actually a Democrat at heart, if that makes any sense.
A little, I guess. But you do have a choice. You have the Libertarian Party.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't get anywhere, so.
I voted Libertarian the last 5 presidential elections, and I plan on voting Libertarian again.
Well, there's something to be said for that, except that, it's basically a two-party system that we have, and so, you have to look at the agendas of both parties, and I think it's extremely frightening that we have this this religious right that is.
Well, sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Cheryl?
We lost her.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. Ma'am, Cheryl, somehow we've lost connection there. Being long distance, something happened, I guess.
We never found out where she was calling from.
Yeah, I was
Do you know who that was?
No, it didn't. It wasn't one of my friends or relatives that I asked to call. But just remind everyone, we are going out on the World Wide Web, so that's the reason we have the 512 area code added to the number there. So please let our phone screeners know you're long distance, and we'll get you in there as quick as we can. Okay, at this time we'd like to go to Mark Loewe, who is a professor of physics, and you brought some the topics here you'd like to discuss.
Well, thank you very much, Ray.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to say a couple things about predictions of science and what is a theory. And after a short amount of motivation, I'll give an example of how one builds a theory.
Excellent.
For motivation, let me start with a rhetorical question, which I'll put up here on the easel. The question is, would you like to be able to successfully predict consequences of actions that you contemplate taking?
I'm not sure if the audience can read that or
Closer,
not.
please.
You might want to zoom in a little
as tight as you can.
a little tighter and just get like one paragraph at a
A little
time.
tighter on the top,
Yeah,
perhaps.
go with one paragraph at a time.
There we go.
Yeah, and so here's the rhetorical question. And the answer, of course, is that you would like to be able to successfully predict consequences of actions that you contemplate. But why? Well, I've given some fairly general reasons why you might like to do that. Because being able to successfully predict consequences of actions helps you to fulfill your desires, general desires. Helps you to direct your direct desires toward those that can be fulfilled.
I don't know. I'm sorry to be laughing at you, Mark. I don't know.
They're trying some special effects.
There was some special effects there. I'd say, yeah. I'd say stay with that camera. Yes, go right ahead, Mark.
Oh, okay. Yeah, here. So among the reasons why you might want to be able to successfully predict consequences of actions are several reasons here. First, it helps you to fulfill your desires. It helps to direct your desires towards those that can be fulfilled. Helps you to avoid being tricked by others or by yourself. And helps you to resolve conflicts with others, or conflicts of two desires that you can't fulfill at the same time for yourself. And I'll pass by this thing at the bottom there. Let me present a very basic notion of what is a prediction of science. Answer that question. I'll put that up here. In a very basic form, a prediction of science consists of presenting the results of all trials that are known to have met the conditions of what constitutes a trial. So this implies that first you have to define what constitutes a trial. And then, once you've done that, you have to present all of the results of all known trials. That's a basic method of science.
And it goes with the integrity of science. Even if you get results that you don't like, you still have to
That's right. If you get results that you don't like, if you want to select results, depending on what results you've gotten, then what you're really doing there is you're changing, you're making more specific the definition of what constitutes a trial. And that can't be done in science. You can do that, but then you have to realize that you've redefined what constitutes a trial. And so it's a basic premise of science to include the results of all known trials that meet whatever definition you've set up for what is a trial.
Excellent.
And to give a little more concrete example, I'll give a definition of what constitutes of a trial and discuss how you make predictions. And the example that I'm going to take is trying to is that I'm going to imagine that you want to predict how much time it takes for a solid object to fall, say from a window of a building. And so I'll draw a little building here. There's the wall of a building. And let's say we go up to the 6th floor. We have a 6th floor window up there. And we want to predict how much time it will take for, say, a baseball to fall down to the ground. Well, initially, you don't have any data. I'm going to imagine that you haven't performed any trials like this in your life before. And in that case, science really can't be used to make any prediction at all, because there's no evidence on which to base the prediction. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to collect some evidence. You have to perform some trials and collect some results. And I'm going to imagine that we perform 4 trials, for instance, and I'll draw on the horizontal axis here. I'll use that to represent time, the time of fall. And I'm going to imagine that we go out to about 2 seconds out here. And that as a result of the first trial, the first trial from that window, at that 6th floor window, on our stopwatch we show that it takes 2 seconds to fall. And maybe for the second trial it takes 1.9 seconds, so we have another result there. And maybe for the third trial 1.8 seconds. These results can differ. And for the fourth trial we get another 1.9. So there's a record of results of all known trials. And for the 5th trial, which we have not yet performed, the basic prediction of science is to simply present the results of all known trials, which in this case are 1.8 seconds, 2.0 seconds, and 2 results at 1.9 seconds. That's the prediction of science that we use for the 5th trial. Now, you might notice that you don't the basic prediction of science is not limited to just a single value for the prediction. In this case, since different values have occurred on different trials in the past, the prediction of science is a statistical prediction. The value 1.9 has come up twice as often as the other 2. Okay, and now, of course, when you perform many trials, hundreds of thousands of trials, and record the results, it is not so convenient to present a whole data book full of all those results as the prediction of science for the next trial. And so then it becomes useful to present a summary of the record of results. And in this case of just 4 trials, the usual summary that we present of our record of results is the average value. The average value of these 4 results, 1.8, 2.0, and 2 at 1.9, would be 1.9 seconds. But now, one could present that 1.9 seconds as a prediction of science, but realizing that it's only a summary of the actual record of results, and that some of the results among the actual record differ from that summary. Okay, so that's basically that's the basic notion of what a prediction of science is at the most basic level, and of one form of summary of the record of results. Now you might ask the question, can science make predictions for trials for which you don't yet have any results? And as an example, let's imagine that we now want to make a prediction for the time of fall of a baseball from a third-story window. Now, we've done experiments at the 6th floor, but I'm going to assume that we have not yet done any experiments from the 3rd floor window. And the question is, can science be used to make predictions for the time of fall for the 3rd floor window without any evidence? Well, in order to do so, you have to now construct a theory. Here now, we have, in the definition of what constitutes a trial, we have a variable, which is the height at which you drop a baseball. And when you have a variable in your definition for what constitutes a trial, now you can imagine various theories for how the results depend on that variable. And in this way, once you give a theory for how the results depend on the variable, you can use results. Using that theory, you can base your predictions for what will happen from the 3rd floor window. You can relate it to what the results are from the 6th floor window. So as an example of a theory, you might consider a linear relationship between the height at which you're dropping the baseball and the time of fall. Now, I'm sort of assuming here that if you were to drop a baseball from 0 height, that it would take 0 time. So here's the 0 of time.
I think that's a good assumption.
Yeah, some things we can assume. Makes sense to assume. And so a linear theory now would be represented by a line that passes through this point and roughly goes like this. Let me draw that a little thicker for the camera. So this would be the theory of a line. And now you can actually test whether that theory is good or not. You can now go to the 3rd floor window, perform some trials, and get some data. And it may be that the data differ a little bit from that theory of the line. So I'm going to imagine you perform some trials and you get these results. Say 4 more trials and you get these results, which they might be reasonably close to the line. And to tell whether the linear theory was successful or not, you basically have to decide whether the deviation of the results from that theory are adequate for whatever purposes you need them for. And it may be that the theory for a line is adequate for whatever purposes you are making the prediction. But it may not be. Perhaps the deviation from the line of these results is more than you would like, or more than you need for whatever purposes you need them for. And in that case, you might consider a slightly more complicated theory, a theory of a parabola, which if we were to draw a parabola here, might, through all this data,
I'm not the one doing the drawing. There was some picture of me.
it might go something like this.
Yes.
Kind of curves upwards.
There you go.
And it may be that this new theory has provides a much better summary for the entire record of results, both the results at the 6th floor and the results at the 3rd floor, than the linear theory. And the point is, these are very simple notions of what constitutes a theory.
Yeah,
There's a linear theory and there's a parabola theory, and
no, I thought it was a great example because, like you say, the theory made the predictions. They went out and made the trials. The trials didn't match, so then they went back and had to review it. They didn't say that the theory was wrong. They just had to review and find out what was going on there, whatever. They would also, at that time, announce that they did 4 trials and they got this, and they did 4, and so that other scientists or other would know what information they had to come to that theory, and then offer their own theories to help along.
yeah.
And so I thought that was a good example. You know, and you're like you say, 4 trials would not constitute a good sample. True.
Well, yeah. As you can imagine, after each new trial, the record of results changes. The prediction of science changes. But once you've collected many trials, the result of the next trial usually doesn't change the statistics of the whole collection very much. And it's sort of a basic assumption of science that the statistics of a large number of trials will not change very much. And the other point to make here is that a theory, there's an equation for a line and there's an equation for a parabola.
Exactly.
And those equations, just like this average value was a summary of the record of results at the 6th floor window, there's also an average value which is a summary for the record of results at the 3rd floor window. And the equation for these theories are also sort of the next level of summary for a much larger record of results that have been taken at different for different kinds of trials, which depend on a parameter, on a variable.
We have a caller on the line. Do you mind?
Sure.
Let's go. Bradley?
Yes. I'd just like to ask you guys a couple of questions real quick.
Sure.
Okay.
Have you guys ever read this book called The Science of God?
The Science of God?
Yes.
No.
You haven't.
Who's the
Have you
author?
heard
Do you
of
know?
This theory of, it's like cosmic clock, saying that, in fact, it's been proven on how if we go by the cosmic clock, it does say, in fact, that we have been actually on this Earth for about 5, 6, a little bit over 6 days.
What?
What?
What does that mean?
Okay. On Earth, we go by Earth time about 24 hours a day, correct?
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you go, radiation has been spreading from the day that the universe has been creating, because by Einstein's theory, first he said that the universe was not expanding, but then he was proven wrong by it does. So if it's expanding, obviously it was started from a point. Okay?
That's one prediction, yes. Go ahead.
Okay. So if it started from one point, radiation is spreading. We have actually calculated this radiation, and we have actually calculated by about how long this cosmic clock is by going by a universal time. And if we actually change this 15 billion years that so-called people think that this Earth has been alive, translate that into a universal type time, it actually has been to a little bit over 6 days.
No, all they're doing, anybody can do that. All they're doing is, it's a unit of measure. You're just saying, all right, we're going to say that the 15 billion years that the Earth has been here, we're going to say that can be represented on this calendar as these 6 days, and you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I see what you're saying.
We've also done the same representation to a 24-hour clock and shown that the length that man's been here on Earth is like a fraction of a second towards midnight.
Yes, of course.
See, so it's just an analogy. It's not the truth.
But isn't that kind of odd how the Bible explains that?
No, wait a minute. No, what we're saying is anybody can take any period of time and divide it into a little over 6 parts.
Real quick.
Right? So what is the basis for dividing that into segments that add up to a little more than 6, other than the Bible?
Have you heard of this theory?
No, but we're asking this question. You've read the book?
I have read this book.
Okay, so what is the basis for dividing the time that has passed so far into chunks of that size?
It's just they just calculated the radiation. They really didn't.
But calculated what about the radiation?
On how far it travels.
Yeah, but travel, that's distance, and you can divide distances so that they come out to a little more than 6.
Okay,
I mean, if there isn't some reason why each of those increments is significant, then all that's happening is this guy is saying, well, the Bible says if we should get a result that's a little more than 6, so however much time or however much distance we're talking about, we'll divide that by some amount, so it'll come out to a little more than 6.
Do you have a PhD?
No.
A master's or anything?
Does it take a PhD to see an issue here? I mean, have you read the book?
I kind of see that.
Answer the question.
I'm not this man. I'm just trying to tell you what
So his book doesn't explain it.
Explain it?
Does his book explain it or not?
It does.
And you don't remember it?
Apparently not. But
okay.
Our theory.
But that's a real issue.
Okay, our theory's proven wrong.
Yeah, Mark, why don't you take this?
Yeah, there are plenty of scientific theories that have been unsuccessful, and there are plenty of non-scientific theories that have been successful.
And we can prove these theories wrong sometimes, correct?
Not with the. I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
Well, yes, you can collect data that is not in agreement with certain theories, and in that case, now you have to make more specific the definition of what constitutes a trial in order to either make more specific or more general what constitutes a trial in order to account for the new data that may be in conflict with the theory.
There are so many scientists out there that go along with the age at approximately 15 billion years for the universe or whatever.
Okay.
There is a very small, very small group out there that claim to be scientists that say they can prove that the Earth is 6,000 years old. Whenever they lay their claims out for the scientific society there to review, none of it stands up to scientific peer review.
Okay, it doesn't sound, from what the caller said, it doesn't sound like this book was a young Earth creationist book. It sounds like an old Earth creationist book.
Well, no, actually,
it's
quite recent. But I would.
No. That's not what I meant. But go ahead.
I'm sorry. But can the Bible be proven wrong?
It depends. What does the Bible say?
Yeah, it says so many things. Any particular part that you pull out.
Hold on. Can you prove that Jesus was not the Messiah? Can we prove that?
You can't even prove Jesus existed.
But can you disprove him? That's the question.
No, it's not the job to prove the negative. Whoever makes the assertion, it's their job to come up with the proof. If you're telling me that there is such a real person as Jesus Christ, then it's up to you to prove that.
Yeah, until the claim is proven, there's no reason to believe it.
So why do you guys feel that there should be a show on the air teaching about like atheism and so forth?
It's not teaching about atheism. It's the Atheist Experience. We want to this is a secular nation. This is supposed to be set up to where a separation of church and state. The church is such a powerful entity with all the money and political clout that it has. We have to we're here just to remind you folks that there is an atheist population out there, that we are voting population, that we our voice deserves to be heard, and it's the voice of reason.
It's the voice of reason, so I don't have reason.
When you call us and you say, well, I read this book, and the guy divides up time and distance so it comes out to a little over 6, and therefore the Bible is right,
okay,
we're going to say, yeah, you don't have reason. Okay, now, the book may still have stuff in it that makes that all make sense, okay? Because I can't speak to that, having not read it, but you have, and you can't explain it. So, yeah, you're the guy right here who doesn't have reason on your side.
Okay,
may I say a real quick quote that I really like? It's absence of proof is not proof of absence.
That's true.
It is true.
That is true.
That is true.
But it is also true that if you have no evidence to back up a claim, then you have no reason to believe that claim.
I had no reason, so my faith isn't a reason.
That's correct.
Oh, okay. So I'm just a worthless.
Faith
human on
is
this earth.
utterly stupid.
Okay, so
The
tell me-
whole concept of believing things on faith is just ridiculous.
Okay.
We have another sheeple calling in, I guess.
Yeah.
See, I don't understand this.
Okay.
Why? Okay. What do you believe in when you die? What do you think happens?
What do I think
What do you
happens
think
when I
happens?
die?
Yes.
I think that what I am, when I talk about my consciousness,
Yes.
I think my consciousness is a complex physical process going on in my brain. And
Right.
when that that's an electrical and chemical process. And when that stops working, my consciousness stops being produced, because that's the process. If it stops happening, it's over.
See, I don't understand this. See, people have been believing about God for how many thousands of years, and yet all of a sudden you guys think that you guys can just prove with all this facts
not all of a
and so
sudden.
forth that you call facts, which can be proven wrong, and the Bible cannot. That you don't even know what's going to happen.
Wait a minute. Back up. The Bible, it's so full of contradictions. We've gone through a whole list of different things that can be proven wrong in there. All the way back from the Old Testament, where they talk about all these different battles that have gone on. Archaeological evidence has shown none of these battles have taken place. They're talking thousands and thousands of people have been wiped out. The whole towns have been wiped out. They can't find any archaeological evidence for any of those towns.
See, that's what faith comes into play. If you have faith,
and
you'll
that's
be
why
there.
faith
But
is just
I'm
so
going to hang up on one second,
ridiculously
but on this
stupid.
note, I will say.
And Mark has a point here.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah, well,
let's go.
caller, I wanted to ask you, were you aware that the framers of our Constitution considered the promotion of science to be of supreme national importance?
Oh, okay.
Were you aware of that?
Actually, why do we do the Pledge of Allegiance to God?
Well, that's
moment.
because
I'm
of
asking-
right-wing extremists in the 1950s.
Of course.
I'm asking you a question, caller. Were you aware that the framers of our Constitution considered the promotion of science and useful arts to be of supreme national importance?
No, but I am now.
Yeah, if you look in Article 1,
That's good.
Section 8, the framers of the Constitution wrote that Congress shall have power to, among other things, promote the progress of science and useful arts.
And I love science, but I'm just going to end on this note real quick.
Yeah, good, because we have a lot of other callers.
You guys are the atheist community, Austin, and I would like to say that I'm a petty high school student, and you just wasted about 10 minutes on me.
All right.
Thank you. Good.
You're welcome.
It is not a waste of time. You probably didn't learn anything, but you gave us an excellent opportunity to talk to people out there who may have learned something.
And just reminding everyone, we are going out live, well, not live, rebroadcast. We're being rebroadcast over the World Wide Web. So if you're calling long distance, please let our call screener know, and we'll bump you up the line there.
Yeah, I want to make another comment too.
Sure, go right ahead.
About that whole call. That caller was very confrontational, very emotionally involved in the questions. That's really not what it's all about. I mean, there are things that people believe for long periods of time that turned out not to be true. I mean, that's just obvious. And even if Christianity aside, if you believe Christianity, then you got to believe that Buddhism is a thing that a large number of people believe for a long period of time, and you've got to think that's not true. So it's obvious that human beings are capable of having beliefs that they hold to very strongly for long periods of time, even though they're utterly wrong. And it doesn't boil down to heated emotional arguments about this stuff. Either a claim makes sense and is supported by the evidence, or it isn't supported by the evidence. If it's not supported by the evidence, you have no reason to believe it, not even faith, because faith is no good reason to believe anything.
All right, let's go on down to Russ.
Hi, how are you doing?
Real good.
I wonder if you guys are familiar with Gary North.
Never heard of him.
What's the last name?
Our
Gary
cameraman
North.
has.
Oh yes, in fact, I have him in my Rapture report for today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because, he's one of the big Y2K alarmists who says that our society is going to completely and utterly collapse and be destroyed on January 1st.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting because I just learned this week that he was actually a fundamentalist Christian, and he has reason for wanting to spread panic about Y2K.
Sure.
But that's what's in your report, huh?
Oh, you know what I forgot to bring in? and I'm going to go home and get this and have them at the lecture today. In the latest issue of Skeptic magazine, they have a one-page contract, a legally binding contract, that you get your friends that think that on a certain date the apocalypse is going to occur and they're going to ascend, right? You get them to sign this stuff, this thing, and put their name on it, put the date that they predict the apocalypse is going to occur, and will you all their stuff. And it's legally binding.
Oh,
and
come on.
I'm going to bring this in and make a bunch of copies so we can all have them.
That'd be great.
And just see if we can get anybody foolish enough to sign away their life.
Anything else, Russ?
Well, yeah, I just, it seems that Gary North is actually, it's not the first time he predicted the world would end.
Yeah.
He thought that some sort of energy crisis would destroy it about 10 years ago, and apparently he's a leader of some kind of movement called Christian economics, and he wants to institute a new biblical society on top of the wreckage of the old society.
Oh, I'll just bet he does.
And by biblical, I mean this is somebody who goes all out. I mean he's in favor of slavery and
oh my
and
gosh,
flogging people who badmouth the church. I mean, you know, all the Leviticus stuff.
what I think we need to do is we need to erect a new rationalism on the wreckage of all these stupid failed predictions. That's what I think.
All right. I appreciate your call.
All right.
We have a bunch of calls here.
See ya.
This is a great time to get to the Rapture report if you want to do it.
Said perfect introduction into it. Yeah.
Just to keep everybody up to date on these predictions of the end times, I periodically do a Rapture report. There are numerous excellent websites that keep track of when these predictions are made, who made them. They have links to the web pages of the people where they describe in detail exactly how they reach their conclusion and what they think is going to happen and what the date is. And then when the date comes and goes, they mark that prediction, you know, succeeded or failed. Well, so far, none of them are succeeded so far. For thousands and thousands of years, we've had failed end times predictions and nothing but. So
we even have a movie now about end of days or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, bunches of them. And I don't mind when it's entertainment. I only mind when people take this stuff seriously. Just to recap, we had a failed prediction for November that Kevin Brent Pryor predicted that Jesus would be born again in November of 1999, possibly on the 22nd, in the form of a baby girl called Uni in California. He claims Kevin claims that he was John the Baptist 2,000 years ago. So, anyway, apparently that didn't happen. On November 29th, Dmitry Duduman predicted that Babylon, i.e. the United States, would be destroyed in a nuclear conflagration. That didn't happen either. So here are the currently imminent pending predictions. Sometime in 99, end of the world according to some Seventh-day Adventist literature, end of the world according to the Jehovah's Witnesses, apocalyptic battle followed by peace as per a vision of George Washington. According to this apocryphal tale, an apparition of a beautiful woman appeared before George, saying, "Son of the Republic, look and learn." Thereupon he saw the world as it would be in 1999. Black clouds with red lights in the center representing invading armies spewed forth from all around the world and poured into America. After a massive battle, an angel sprinkled water on the world and peace was restored. The height of the Antichrist's power when a terrible Holocaust would occur, as foreseen by astrologer Gene Dixon. A pole shift will cause natural disasters in World War III, according to the sleeping prophet Edgar Cayce. The end of the world, according to linguist/credophile Charles Berlitz, as predicted in his book Doomsday 1999. All those things are supposed to happen sometime in 1999, and
I can't believe
so far there's not even a hint that any of them are starting to happen.
The Seventh-day Adventist is still trying to predict it. Because haven't they had a whole list of failed predictions just themselves?
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Now, coming up soon, December 6th, that's tomorrow. Cutting Edge is the name of the person making the prediction. I don't know if that's an internet handle or what, but one of the more unintentionally funny sites. It is this article details how the wicked Illuminati are planning to kickstart the end times by crashing the Galileo probe into Jupiter, thereby turning it into a second sun in the sky. That's supposed to happen tomorrow, folks, so keep your eyes peeled. January 1, 2000. Well, I guess I should skip I'll skip the January ones. We'll get to those later. Sometime in December, the second coming, according to Monty Kim Miller of the cult Concerned Christians, claims he will die in Jerusalem and be resurrected 3 days later. Yeah, this is the group one of the groups that has been kicked out of Israel. But
yes,
as far as I know, Monty is still on the loose. December 25th, 1999. What would be Christmas Day? The second coming of Christ, according to doomsday prophet Martin Hunter. December 31st, last day of the year, Han Ming Chen's cult God's Salvation Church, now relocated to upstate New York, preaches that a nuclear holocaust will destroy Europe and Asia sometime between October 1 and December 31. So that's all the
we're
stuff.
Backing up on callers.
Okay, no, that's enough for now. I got 2,000 stuff, but we can do that in a couple of weeks.
Let's go on down to
Rabin.
Rabin, excuse me. Rabin?
Good day, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
Here it is. First of all, what do you believe your origin is? Who made you?
No one made me.
No one made you.
Through the natural processes and evolution is how mankind and everybody else got here to the point.
So
where
are you
we're
a
at.
believer of like the Big Bang Theory, maybe?
That's yeah, to a point, yes.
To a point. So if you don't know, then what exactly made you? Do you know?
If we don't know, then the answer is we don't know.
You don't know. Okay.
And that is the honest answer.
Okay, here's the second
and
question.
And in fact, if you merely believe but can't prove that your belief is true, you don't know either.
Okay, go ahead with your second question.
Are any of y'all ever murdered anyone?
No.
Okay, here's the problem. Where do you get your morals from?
Wait, have you murdered someone?
No, I haven't.
Okay, just checking.
See, but I'm a Christian, so it's different. So,
how is it different?
Well, I believe in what I actually believe in. You don't believe in anything. So
we believe in a wide variety of things. We just don't happen to believe in any gods.
You don't even know your origin. How can you believe in something?
What difference does that make?
It makes a big difference if you know where you come from or not.
How's that?
What do you mean, how's that?
What difference does it make?
What difference does it make? Okay,
no, that's a serious
just answer the next question. Answer the next question.
Have you been watching our show? We had a guy on here a week or two ago talking about how philosophers have known for quite a few centuries that it makes no sense, philosophically speaking, for morality to be dictated from some higher power. And you're not letting me talk.
He's answering your question.
You're not letting me talk.
I didn't ask the question for him to answer, but you can go ahead. I'm sorry.
You asked where we got our morality.
And philosophers have known for centuries that it makes no sense to postulate that morals are dictated to us by some higher power. It makes no philosophical sense.
I'm trying to be the best human being that I can, the best citizen in Austin I can, the best citizen in the United States I can, and the best human I can, not the best human on the world, the best human I can in the human society.
The question, sir, is why, if there's not any consequences? What do you gain?
There are consequences. Who says there aren't any consequences?
Okay, who are the consequences? What are the consequences?
First of all, I'm not. If I'm a real asshole, I'm never going to get laid again. And
what is? I'd like to ask you a question, caller.
Please do.
What is morality?
What is morality?
Yeah. What is the point of morality?
Defined by myself.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Is your definition?
In my state of being, morality for me is the action of good or bad upon my truth.
Good or bad upon your truth.
Upon my truth, correct.
Now I understand what your definition is. My definition of morality, the purpose of morality and ethics and rules of behavior of any kind.
Okay.
The purpose of that is to enable people to get along with one another, for the best benefit that everybody can get. That's the point. That's the reason we have rules like that. And we can figure those rules out by looking at how, if I act a certain way, there are consequences to that. I can see whether it was productive or not productive, helpful or not helpful, whether it tended to turn people against me or didn't. And we can figure out from that what are functional rules that help us all get along. That is where morality comes from. It doesn't come from some sky pixie that says, I created you, therefore I get to decide what the rules are.
Can I give a point of analysis here, gentlemen?
Okay, quickly, I have a bunch of other callers.
Okay, I'm sorry. What I see here is you're unknowing Christians, which means you follow by all the rules, and the fact that you believe what morality is and you do the right things, and at the point in time you need to realize that this country was founded upon these Christian ideals. No, they are, and you follow them. So basically what it comes down to is you're a bitch
Read
to
Thomas
Christianity
Paine,
without even knowing
read Thomas Jefferson.
And I'm going to let this go.
I have a response. I have a response to the caller. I claim that the caller practices science almost every day in almost everything he does.
Good. Let's give an example.
Science is so natural that we use it all the time without even thinking about it. For instance, every time you sit on a chair, you subconsciously you might wonder whether the chair will support your weight. Well, you've performed hundreds of thousands of these experiments in the past, and in almost all cases, the results are that the chair has supported your weight. And maybe in just a couple, a chair has crumbled under your weight. And so you put your faith in the evidence that you've collected. The predictions of science are very heavily weighted toward the chair on the next trial supporting your weight. And it's so natural to use these methods of prediction that we use it all the time in almost everything we do.
And I'd like to make the comment that any consequences or rewards that you receive here and now. The idea that you would receive some reward for killing your enemies has created so much suffering over the thousands of years, and that's exactly what the Christian religion has done for thousands of years. And not only Christian religions, but Muslims or whatever else, where they claim that if you're a martyr, you are guaranteed a place in heaven. So we got these fanaticals that are ready to go out there and kill themselves, thinking that they're going to go to heaven.
And the idea that the reason to follow one set of rules or another is personal gain, which is what it's all about. If you say that the rules come from God and God will either reward or punish you based on how you follow the rules, that's fundamentally immoral. If you care about getting along with other people, which we do, if you care about that, then the reason to follow good moral behavior, good ethical behavior, is because you care about getting along with your fellow man, and that's what it's about. We don't, I support laws that get in my way, even though it might be to my benefit to, say, drive 100 miles an hour down the highway occasionally. I don't do that, even when I'm late, because I support the idea of having rules that help us get along. I know that's not morals, but just as a cheap example, okay? And that's not for my personal benefit. That's because I care about my fellow man. I care about our society working smoothly. I care about people not having accidents. That's all important to me. And that's a perfectly valid basis for ethical behavior.
One of the moral credos that I try to follow is to try not to hinder the fulfillment of other people's desires.
Excellent.
That's right. Because if we lived in a society where it was considered okay to try to hinder other people's desires, I mean, now looking at it from a completely selfish perspective, boy, if the world's all full of people who think that it's okay to interfere with one another's desires, there's a lot more others than there are of you. And so the net result is going to be people are always getting in each other's way. It's just a dumb way to live.
All right. Let's go on down to Barb.
Hello?
Good morning.
Hi, Barb.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I have a question. Earlier I heard the guy with the suspenders say something about, there's no point in believing in something that you can't explain or something to that effect.
Can I say that again so it's clear?
Well, can I just ask you my question?
Sure.
Okay, if that's the case, I want to know, okay, you people supposedly, we're just here, we just appeared here, and there's no higher power and all that, and when we're gone, it's all over. Now, how do you explain anything in the supernatural realm? How do you explain ghosts? How do you explain spirits?
I will tell you exactly how I explain those things.
I want to answer that too.
I explain those things by misinterpretation.
Wait, stop. Have you ever seen a ghost?
No.
Have you in the middle?
No.
Have you over there?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, well, there are people that have. There's some people that
there
are
are people that report that they have. That's correct.
I was one of them. The sound guy here. In my younger years, I always saw those, and aliens too. You know, I loved it. It's a subconscious thing to get attention, and it worked. But I dropped it.
So see, this is what it is. People who have not experienced certain things, just because you three people have not experienced certain things, and you're trying to say it's not out there.
Okay,
but it is out there.
There is way more to it than just us three people haven't experienced it. Okay, and you asked me how I explain it. I will now say.
Okay.
I explain that by people misinterpreting things that they do see, but they don't really know what it is. I explain that by people experiencing hallucinations. I explain that by people making up lies, as Arlo said, for attention, and that pretty much covers it.
No.
And religion.
And religion. I don't know if you're aware of this. There's a great show, great science program called Exploring the Unknown, Fox Family Channel, Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock. Channel 34 cable, and they had a show where they visited the laboratory of a scientist in Canada who's got this helmet. You can put it on people, and it will pass electromagnetic fields through their brain in order to disrupt the brain's normal functioning. And people who have this done to them report being visited by spirits. They report leaving their body. They report like demonic and angelic entities showing up. All these traditional things that people ascribe as to supernatural occurrences are clearly demonstrated by this experiment to be nothing more than electrochemical imbalances in the brain.
Well, let me ask you this, my second part of the question.
Sure.
I mean, since, I just see it as the way that you're explaining faith because you have not experienced it. But how do you explain, just because you three people have never...
So you're brushing off scientific evidence.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then.
Go ahead.
How do you explain psychic phenomena?
Same way.
Okay, have you ever visited a psychic?
I've had friends...
No, I'm asking you three. Have you ever visited a psychic?
No, because I'm not a complete idiot. Okay?
They have not. There's never been any scientific proof for what the general agreement of psychic phenomenon is. So
James Randi has got $1 million for anybody that can prove they can really do anything paranormal.
You know what? What I see it is that you people just don't have, you don't have a connection to the spirit world, whether it's negative. No.
That's because there isn't a spirit world. I just read this news story. Scientists have found the neurons in the brain that are responsible for our sense of consciousness. It's all physical. There aren't any ghosts. There aren't any psychic powers. It's just people that want to that either they have misinterpreted real phenomenon, or they have experienced hallucinations, and they're explaining it with all these supernatural explanations, but it doesn't hold up. There is no real evidence.
I would like to add one more
Sure.
thing.
This is Arlo, our sound guy. Go ahead,
For
Arlo.
some people, and for me, it made life more interesting.
We can hardly hear you, Arlo.
I was just saying, for people
Thanks.
like me, the whole supernatural kick I was on is it made life more interesting
Yeah,
to me.
yeah, me too. When I was into that.
Yeah.
And our guest has a point.
Okay.
Yeah, Barb, the reason why I focus on predictions of science is because over history, predictions made using the methods of science have been the most successful.
Okay, I've got one more point to make to you all. Now that the third person that's brought up predictions, look at the Bible. Look at the Bible. The Bible has predicted things from the beginning until the end. Can you explain that?
Like for
Give us
example,
one
Jesus' prediction that he would return and the kingdom would arrive within the lifetimes of the people listening to him. How about
Okay.
that prediction?
Give us one prediction that came true, and then I have something else to say.
What are you giving me this thing for?
I'm talking...
You can't. You can't because
yes,
none of them came
I
true.
absolutely can. The Bible
Okay.
says that when it lists an item, it makes a list of items, and it tells you when all these things have passed, then I will return. Just like in this day and age, the Bible says that there's going to be all kinds of
Okay.
Did
Did you hear my Rapture report? Are you aware that people have been predicting the end times,
Yes,
often based on what it says in the Bible, for thousands of years?
But then
they've always been wrong.
Wait, excuse me. Let me just say this. But see, but they're not doing what the Bible says. The Bible tells us there's no man that can predict the day and time that Jesus is going to return.
That's too bad, because I can't get you to sign one of those contracts then to will me all your worldly possessions at a certain date.
And then, Barb, let me point out something. I've done the research here, and I didn't realize this until I got the research. The old Hebrew language there did not have anything. The verbs did not represent past tense or present tense or future tense. It was left up to the Greek translator to decide what that author meant. So a lot of those predictions were just the Greeks coming in after the event and then claiming that they were prediction when they could have very easily been talking about present tense. This is something that is happening at this time when that particular story was written down.
I got another thing to say about the whole psychics issue.
I have a bunch of other callers, and I have to let you go. I do appreciate your call. Please continue to watch.
I got something else to say about the whole psychics thing.
Because we're down to less than 15 minutes.
Here's what we do know, okay? Excellent article, again, in Skeptical Inquirer. There's this woman who was taking psychology classes and needed a summer job. And she got an opportunity. She got an opportunity to be a telephone, psychic hotline friend, and she was telling herself, well, I don't believe in any of this stuff, but it'll give me an opportunity to actually help people with my psychological training. So she starts answering these calls, and what she just quickly discovered was that if she didn't claim to have psychic powers, the callers wouldn't listen to her. She had women calling her saying, oh, my husband is beating her, and she's saying, call family services. And the response was, well, what does my chart say? What do the stars say? The problem with this entire attitude that there's some kind of spiritual world out there is it blinds people to perfectly appropriate, mundane advice on what to do to take care of yourself. It turns them into these little timid, frightened sheeples that are looking for some supernatural direction. You don't need supernatural direction. You've got a brain. You're the product of millions of years of evolution. We're at the top of the food chain for good or ill. That's where we are. And think about what you're doing for yourself. Use your own brain. Don't be turning to some supernatural force that nobody can prove the existence of to tell you what to do. You don't need to do that. Figure it out yourself.
The crew likes it. Yeah, the crew likes it. All right, we're down to less than 12 minutes here, or whatever, 12 minutes. Let's go to Russ. Russ.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ray, I don't know about your answer to that guy a couple calls back. I'm an asshole and I still get laid.
Oh, thank you. There's hope for me yet, huh?
Yes, sir. It looks like Jeff's been doing a lot of reading on consciousness, and we had a real good bare-bones definition of a scientific trial. I wonder if you guys could help me out with something, kind of a public service.
All right.
When I dream, it seems real. And sometimes when I'm awake, it seems like I'm dreaming. Can you guys design a trial for me to help me figure out whether I'm awake or dreaming?
That question has been offered to philosophers in the past. Mark is actually a physics professor. He's not much into philosophy.
Just take his wallet.
Well, I'm trying to find a quote from Newton here, from his Rules of Reasoning in Philosophy. I'll have to read through. I have a couple pages of stuff. And he makes a comment about dreams, so I'll bring that up if I can find it.
If I can jump in, I'll respond to this a little.
While you're reviewing it, yes.
For a while I was reading books about lucid dreaming. Do you know what that is?
Yes, sir.
And I was trying to do that, and I quickly became disillusioned because the books would say things like, you don't see in color when you're dreaming. So check and see if, one of the ways you can tell if you're dreaming or not is, do you see in color? And another thing said, well, you can't read text while you're dreaming. And so check to see if you can do that, and that'll clue you in. The problem was, the more I read this stuff, the more I figured out that really it was the expectations of the person doing the dreaming that was setting what the limits were.
Yeah, you're just going to dream whatever you were thinking about before you went to sleep.
For different people, different things were hard to do in their dreams, and that and it seemed different from individual to individual. But you might be able to figure out what it is for you that you should be able to do that you can't do as well in your dreams. Maybe it's color vision, maybe it's ability to read text, but something that might be a way to figure it out.
But whatever criterion apply, how do I know I'm not dreaming it?
Right. That's an excellent.
The thing is, if you wake up one morning and you're seeing in black and white, you didn't wake up. You're dreaming. Right. I mean,
it's the same question. How do I know you're not dreaming right now? I'm not part of your dream. And this is all.
I don't know that. I'm asking for is there a trial where we can figure that out?
Yeah. What I'm saying is you have to isolate the variables. You have to find out what is different to your experience between your experience of a dream and your experience of being awake, and then you can use that to tell the difference.
It's a very thought-provoking problem here, and Mark found the thing from Newton.
I have a list of Newton's rules for reasoning in philosophy. I won't go through them. They're just 4 basic rules, and he gives some. He expounds on their meaning a little bit, and in one of the elaborations, a sentence that he writes here is that we are certainly not to relinquish the evidence of experiments for the sake of dreams and vain fictions of our own devising.
No, he's not talking about dreams. He's talking about hopes kind of dreams.
Okay.
So it goes back into Nietzsche. It says, I think, so therefore I am. Wasn't that Nietzsche?
Descartes.
Descartes, sorry, thank you. Say, I'm not up on all my philosophers. Say, dreaming is just one more phase of your reality. So you can actually rephrase that question all the way back to, how do I know that my reality is the same as Jeff's reality? Right. It's all we can't. There's no way I can prove that, and there's no way I can prove that you're not dreaming right now either.
Yeah, I mean, just knowing that dreams exist has an incredible reductive effect, in that I don't even know anything that I perceive on an individual level is real. So that even if I'm going to work on the biggest atom smasher in the world, my first step out of bed might be a step of faith. So I'm going to go back to sleep. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, I want to say one more thing about that.
Thanks for the question.
That's one of it's very trendy right now for theistic philosophers to attack scientific materialism on the basis that scientific materialism is ultimately founded on unprovable philosophical assumptions, and that's one of them, that there really is something going on, right? Because we can't prove that there's really something going on. But the difference, and there's this one guy, Philip Johnson, who's a law professor, going around arguing that, since materialism ultimately comes down to a unprovable philosophical assumption, it would be just as fair to take that unprovable philosophical assumption out and put in a different philosophical assumption, which is that God exists and it was all created by God, right? The problem is there is a reason for the assumptions on which science is based. If you don't accept the assumptions that science is based on, you really can't figure out anything, even in principle. If the universe is all just imaginary, then there really aren't any laws underlying anything, and any effort to figure anything out is a waste of time. And if there really are supernatural forces behind everything that aren't bound by any kind of laws and can do whatever the heck they want, and you can't even, in theory, know what they want, then it's a waste of time to try to figure anything out. So, I mean, it is a practical, it was a practical decision to assume that there is a physical reality that exists independently of our minds, and testing and years of scientific research have supported that initially that an assumption that was initially made just for the sake of convenience.
All right, we're down to less than 6 minutes here. Let's go down to Scott.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How y'all doing?
Fantastic.
I was riding in the truck this morning. I heard on the radio that they're going to turn Burnet into Bethlehem. And no, I've really heard this, and I wondered, and it sounded like it was a city-sponsored thing where they're going to have a live manger and nativity scene, and I just wondered about that. And this last guy that called you, I've talked to a lot of people who are blind from birth.
Yeah.
They don't dream in color or black and white. It's all tactile and emotional.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, sounds and feelings, yeah.
Yeah, that's how.
So, are you talking about the street Burnet, county Burnet?
The city of Burnet.
The city of Burnet, excuse me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're such a small group, we have to confine our efforts to Austin and Travis County, especially these small counties out there that they are shown their willingness to violate the church-state separation all the way down the line, from the prayers at schools and all that, and at football games. We got like 20 or 30 out there that have signed paperwork, resolutions saying that they're going to violate the Supreme Court, whatever it says. They're going to go ahead and do what they want. So
right.
But we have to combine our strength and efforts to Austin at this point.
Caller, do you know whether they plan to establish a tax collection office there in a manger?
I'm not sure. I know that they've got the steam train going to run up from Cedar Park, and they're all going to have some kind of whoopie-doo up there. But I don't live in Burnet. I live here in Austin.
All right.
But
I appreciate you keeping us up to date on that.
There's a lot of that stuff going on.
Hell, let me know if y'all know where to get one of them demon helmets. I think that sounds like a blast.
I think, as far as I know, the research is only being conducted in a lab in Canada.
Man, yes. That sounds like the potential is limitless on that.
Yes, you could.
Is that right? You said there's a helmet that screws up your brain waves or something?
Yeah, it's just got things that generate electromagnetic fields and interfere with your brain's normal operation. And it induces vertigo and a sense of leaving your body and encounters with supernatural forces and things.
Because I tried on one of those that's got the LED lights and the white noise blast.
Yeah, no, this is not that.
That thing gave me a headache, man. Thanks, y'all.
I gotta go.
All right, bye.
Have a great week.
Yeah, there's a lot of this nonsense going around with like the Christians are really all whipped into a frenzy by the millennium, but the millennium is also an excellent opportunity for us rationalists, because all these predictions, all these are not going to come true, not one of them. And when they don't, it is our job as rationalists to make as much fun of these people as we possibly can.
We're running out of time here. There's no way I'm going to get to all the rest of the callers. Our voicemail is 371-2911 if you want any comments. I'd love to get Daniella because I think I know her. Okay, let's get Daniella?
Yes. Wait, I just have one question. Why do you think you know me?
It's not who I thought it was. Can you speak up, please? I couldn't hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. First, I want to ask, what's your definition of God?
I don't have a definition for God since I don't believe there is a God.
No, but there is a dictionary definition. It doesn't have to be the one monotheistic God, but
right, because there's so many different definitions out there. Each and every religion out there has their own definition of what they think their God is.
Maybe I could be a help here. I just looked it up this morning.
Okay.
And there were 3 definitions. First, it was a male deity. Second was something that is worshipped. And third was something that is all-knowing, all-powerful, all-benevolent, all-good, the whole contradictory thing.
Okay, for sake of argument, we'll run out of time. We'll take that as a definition.
Okay. So, a God would be a superior being. Am I correct?
And with that, it would have to be a lot more than just superior, because I know people that are superior to me, and I don't call them gods.
But go ahead.
Okay. Well, animals. Let's just say a pet for keep it simple. When they look up to you, don't they worship you? If you have a trained dog and you tell them,
I don't consider it worship. It's part of their natural instinct to be pack animals, and they look at you as the alpha dog, is my understanding, as leader of the pack. They're not worshiping you.
I do believe that they do.
Okay, so what's your point?
Okay, we're down.
The thing is, if they do worship you, are you not a god to that animal?
Okay, we're going to have to leave it at that, ma'am. Please call again. We're running out of time. You have a great week. There's all our worshipers and followers there, yes.
If that's your only definition of God, then sure, whatever.
Please don't take us as being rude, ma'am. I'm down to less than a minute now, and I'm running out of time. I want to remind all our viewers that we're going out live on the web, and we're going to try to do that on a regular basis. That's www.spring.net. We'll get back with you on that. We'll let you know. Mark Loewe is going to be our guest speaker at Furs North Cross Mall. The restaurant opens at 11. We'll try to get the lecture started at 11:30. We want to make sure everybody gets through the line first and gets back here. It's in the Longhorn room in the back. Look for the signs. Then we're back to the Hot Jumble Bakery, which is down West 5th and Lavaca. is our, which will be next week after that. Our Solstice special is coming up. The 19th, December 19th will be our Solstice special. Our Life of Brian party is coming up in January. Our Rapture party is December 18th, the night before. Let's do our love thing.
Bye, everybody.
We love you, Austin.